The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 176. Today's date is Tuesday, January 19th, 2021. We are live as always over on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you're out there in the live chat, then go ahead and say something. We don't know you're out there unless you say something. If you're new to the channel, new to the show, go ahead and not only tell us that you're out there, but let us know where you're from. We'll try to shout you out and all of that. Throughout the show, if you have a question or something that you want to be discussed or read or whatever, go ahead and tag myself or someone on the panel. We'll try to get to those as long as they're somewhat relative to the conversation that we have. We can go down rabbit holes very easily, so we don't need too many squirrel moments to send us down those rabbit holes to begin with. If you want to, you can call. Yes, you can call into the show or text on the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates over at the Gun Cleaners. And that phone number is 530-364-4678. And if you are out there, especially if you're a veteran and you're having some tough times, need someone to talk to, obviously feel free to call me, text me, email me 24/7. If I can help you, I will. I can't give you medical knowledge and all that, but I can at least be a pretty decent ear to listen to anything you got to say and all that. But if you're looking for someone that can actually help you medically and be anonymous, please check out the Veteran Crisis Hotline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. And as always, we're going to spotlight the United States Marine Corps. If you're interested in the Marine Corps and what it takes to earn the title United States Marine, please check out the website, www.marines.com. So I'm going to bring in my friends and cohorts and buddy old pals and gosh doggy good old people from Ohio, the host of the Right of the People and the founder of Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. What's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy?
Not much, Trey. Glad to be here. Glad that I got to actually catch it when I have a night off. You know, sometimes I guess it's good when they don't want to pay you overtime for the holiday.
Well, that's not a bad thing, is it? Not a bad thing.
Not tonight, it ain't.
And a guy that, I mean, he acts like he's busy all the time, but I don't think he really does much. From the great state of Texas, we've got the tactical virus. Leprechaun himself. What's going on, Clove?
It has, it's been a busy day, man.
Well, I guess that's a good thing, right? Busy's good, typically?
It's been a good busy, yeah.
Well, good. Yeah. We've got Rod and Shelly are out there. Rod and Shelly Gates from the Gun Cleaners. They say, good evening, everybody. So go check out theguncleaners.com. Those people right there. And they produce that. They've got solvent lube. It's the only stuff that we use to clean our guns. They're great friends of ours personally, great friends of the show. So I want to send thank you to Rod and Shelly as well. Got a couple of newbies out there. So welcome to the dark side. We've got Noel Bum 771. It says, hey buddy, I'm from Florida, new to the channel. Welcome to the dark side. We hope to entertain you, maybe pass on a little education. More importantly, we're going to have fun trying to dispel the misconceptions of who gun people are tonight. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. And Lloyd Carty says, hello from Connecticut. What's up, homie? Welcome to the channel as well. Connecticut. I want to say Psycho Camp's from Connecticut. Is he from Connecticut or New Hampshire? I think he's Connecticut, isn't he? I think Psycho Camp's from Connecticut.
I think that is correct.
Yep.
Yes.
John C says, thanks for the follow on Instagram. You got it, man. Not a problem. I follow a lot of people, but I don't follow a lot of people that I usually don't know unless they're put stuff out that I think is really cool. But people that are here, that are always engaging on the channel, especially in the show or whatever, and they're over there, man, I'm going to try to follow you. So if I haven't followed you and you think I should, send me a DM over on Instagram and I'll try to give you a follow as well. Gary says Cycle Camp is from Connecticut. All right. Skull Ram says Vidalia onion. I don't know. Okay, Vidalia onion sounds good. I love onions, so it's all good. Foon32 says, "What up, bro? I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut." So we got a couple. There must be something going on the algorithms up there that we're reaching some people in Connecticut tonight. So that's awesome. Welcome to the show. Like I said, we're going to try to entertain you, have a little fun, do a little laughing, and talk guns and talk the culture and all of that. And it is what it is. Now, Clover, this might be more up your alley. Can you talk about the newly proposed Texas Firearms Protection Act? Have you heard much about this, or can you maybe expand a little for Mario?
No, I can't elaborate much on that at this particular point. No.
There you go. I'm sure that it'll be out there.
Yeah.
So I haven't read anything. I've been keeping up with Arkansas stuff, and interesting that there is an SB SB 24. It's a bill here in Arkansas. That's the Stand Your Ground bill, and apparently whether it's in committee or something from the original time it was filed, there have been some interesting words added, subtracted, changed in that bill to where now a lot of the pro-gun people in Arkansas are calling for it to be changed again and fixed. When it comes to stand your grounds, the words have to be specific in that, or it can open up a legal loophole for a lot of different things. And apparently there were some words that have been altered or changed or whatever, whether it's in committee or write-up or whatever. And so we're trying to figure out what's going on in SB 24 locally here in the state. Gizzard Gary says, "Could you say you are connecting with?" I am connecting with Connecticut. So it is what it is. Yeah. So welcome everybody. We hope you have fun. We're going to talk some stuff tonight. What's up?
That Texas Firearm Protection Act he's talking about is HB 1076.
Correct.
Okay.
And basically what it says is it goes to define a whole bunch of state level entities, whether it be law enforcement agencies, etc. And then says that no entity described by subsection A and no person employed by or otherwise under the direction or control of the entity may enforce or attempt to enforce any federal statute, order, rule, or regulation described by subsection B. So basically, Texas says, "Screw you, we're not enforcing federal gun laws," is what the proposed bill is.
Yeah, it's basically recognizing what is it when it supersedes or whatever. It's recognizing the Second, the Ninth, and the 10th Amendment, and saying because of the Second, Ninth, and 10th Amendment, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Foon out there says,
"And I might need to emigrate."
We've been telling you that just in principle alone.
Texas is not Texas. I mean, watch Snob's video on it, right? Texas is not the most pro. I mean, about the only thing we don't got going for us is constitutional carry at this point. But quite honestly, it's not the greatest. I mean, that's one of the most basic things you would think we would have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the whole if you print your ass could go to jail. I don't like that either.
No, we don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore.
You don't?
Yeah, now our license is a license to carry. It's an LTC, so it's not a concealed handgun license anymore. You can do either or, and so because you can do either or, it doesn't matter if you print because you can open carry.
Okay, good.
And here in Arkansas, ours is a concealed carry handgun permit, but they don't give two shits about printing. So it is what.
Right. As long as a lot of your more freer states that have it are that way. As long as you don't actually see the firearm, you're good. As long as
it's covered, you know.
Yeah.
One good thing about Ohio, other than shall issue, which is awesome, is that it's a license to carry a handgun, but open carry is not against the law. Completely, totally legal. You can carry.
Well,
openly anything anywhere you want.
So budget, I got a recommendation for you, and this will get you out a lot of hot water if you've got a problem with printing. Just quit carrying in your yoga pants, bro. Come on.
I know. I have to stop that.
Yoga pants and tube tops are usually not really that great for concealed carry.
Of course, anytime I'm wearing yoga pants, I look like I'm concealing a long arm anyhow. So,
wow. Okay. TMI. All right. So Foon out there wants to know, how many guns do you allow to purchase at a time from where you're from? So in Arkansas, I can sit there and say, huh?
Yeah, right. No, sir. not applicable.
Doesn't matter here.
I have. I'll tell this story over and over and over. I have bought 12 in a 24-hour period before. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's man. I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm sure that there are obviously states that are limited, but I don't understand what that means. I don't speak that language, so it is.
Yeah, we can buy as many as we want at any time, which is awesome.
Yeah. So it is Tuesday, January 19th, and this is kind of odd for me because typically for the last 4 years, it's been the fourth year, I haven't had this show this week. And that's because I'm always at SHOT Show, and I never do a show on Tuesday night during SHOT Show. One, because wow, it's 5:00 first of all, Vegas time. Second of all, we've got things going on. It's the first day of actual SHOT Show. A couple days prior, we're at different range days and all that. But so it's kind of bittersweet that I'm happy I'm doing a show, but I'm really upset that I'm not at SHOT Show. And I see some people out there on Instagram and Facebook saying the swag is great this year at SHOT Show, and there's nobody in line. And I saw a post yesterday from a buddy of ours that said, got here to range day and no one's here. Am I missing something? That said, oh, they moved it to Idaho. You must have missed that memo, but it's just one of those things. But it's weird. SHOT Show is my favorite week of the year, and it sucks that we're not able to go this year. But
you did not hear. I don't think you were on. I think you ended up watching a movie or something last night, so you probably didn't hear. I talked to Jamil. Jamil, Crazy Jamil from Gun Start Reviews, by the way. Go check them out. I talked to him yesterday, and he was wanting to put together.
Crazy ass Jamil, we mean crazy.
Yeah. He was wanting to. He was wondering if there was several of us that wanted to get together and do a couple of live streams. And what we do is just take these newsletters we got, these press releases and stuff, and just screen share and talk about some of the new products in these press releases, and just talk.
If y'all do that, let me know. I'd love to. I'm in.
I think that could be kind of neat.
Yeah, just do anything that has to do with SHOT Show. I'm in on.
Yeah.
If y'all do that, let me know.
It would be the same thing. We'd be looking at products that we, like on the SHOT Show floor, we can't really handle them anyway and use them. Anything else, all we can really do is talk about them and say, here they are. So it'd be almost the same exact thing.
Foon says the reason why he asked that question is in Connecticut, they're trying to pass a 1 gun a month. Ooh.
Makes no sense.
I'm not on Clover's level or 12 in a 24-hour period. I've not that level. I think the most I've had is 3 in one day.
Well, I ate that way, and that was a long time ago when money was much, much better than it is now. But
right. Iron Horseman says you can thank our Nevada governor for canceling SHOT Show. Yeah. Homie out there, Kagan, is out there. What's going on the Facebook side? So, it is weird. It is very, very weird. So, in the spirit of SHOT Show, have you guys been keeping up with any of the press releases? Is there anything that has come out in the last week or two that have been the press releases? Is there anything that you guys are excited about maybe getting your hands on in the near future, or things that are coming down the line that might be fun to play with? Anything? Mike, I'll start with you. Anything that you've seen that you just really say, man, that looks really awesome?
Not going to lie. That Keltec.
Well, I hope not.
That Keltec thing that uses the P90 magazines looks pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. I did see something.
I can't lie. That looks interesting. interesting.
I
We
am
know
not
it'll be hit or miss Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock, with whether it's worth the crap or not. But it looks cool. Gotta admit.
Yeah, that I've never really been a big Kel-Tec guy, but that does look kind of cool. I haven't really looked into it. I saw a picture or a press. I don't know. I saw something on it maybe yesterday, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty cool. But I haven't really looked in. But yeah, that would be interesting. So it's going to shoot the
5.7.
5.7 round.
Yep.
A
Same
Kel-Tec
magazine,
5.7. I'll be damned.
So yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah, Russell Jimmy out there says here that SHOT Show is doing it on thing online. Yeah, it's kind of a virtual SHOT Show, and it's bad. I'm sorry. I've watched a couple things and it's bad. They've basically linked up to the manufacturers to kind of present any new stuff and all. It's not good. It's not good. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it wasn't. I mean, it's the same as, is it something? Yes. And applause for, doing something, sure. But it's kind of like GRPC was last year and some other things. I think that if they're going to go the virtual route with things, and they had plenty of time to organize it and get it done, I don't know why they didn't go to the people. And I'm not trying to beat our drum and say we're awesome as creators, but we're awesome as creators. Why didn't they contact us? Why don't they work with us to make it a better production? You know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and learn how to do all this online stuff, themselves. I mean, they could very easily just reach out to how many creators? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Video creators.
Media days.
Go to SHOT Show every year. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question. Could one of the reasons be that they received a lot of the sponsorship monies? They felt obligated to kind of do their own thing to maintain that relationship with the sponsors that have probably already upfront paid for their sponsorships. They needed to do something. You're right. They should have gotten a hold of people that actually knew what the hell they were doing. But I think a lot of the virtual SHOT Show had nothing to do with wanting to show SHOT Show. It was the fact that they already have received sponsorship money that they probably couldn't return, or whatever. So who knows? I don't know. Let's see here. Pancake Boy out there says, "Yeah, I've heard about this. I haven't seen anything. Savage has got that straight pull bolt rifle.
The Impulse.
I haven't seen anything about it yet, but everyone's raving about the looks of this thing.
I hope I got one coming, but yeah, that the straight pull, man, awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, and let's see here.
Streamlight's got a new flashlight, but it's called the Wedge. It's pretty neat. I kind of like it. It's a little more modular looking or whatever, a little more modern looking than the old, the stylus and the macro stream. And the macro stream is your round, shaped flashlights. This one's kind of literally a wedge shape to it instead of a cylindrical barrel. And I guess for grip or something like that, maybe. But it's kind of interesting. I mean, a small ticket item, but still a little interesting.
Yeah. This might be something that's maybe Mike's, but right up yours. I know that you're a fan of the 6.8. But Artex says Winchester introduced a 6.8 Western, slightly heavier than the 6.5 Creed. Posed to be slightly better. I don't know the point of Winchester into a new cartridge. And then someone down here says that Winchester can, Russell says Winchester can make a new round, but can't produce the rounds that people actually need. But have you heard about the 6.8 Western, either one of you guys?
Well, what I replied with that, two different things, right? R&D and production, two totally separate things. So don't confuse the two. And just because they're announcing the 6.8 Western doesn't mean that they have millions and millions of rounds produced to sell either. They're just announcing
or any except for
R&D PSA Dagger, right?
So the issue I've got with the 6.5 Creed, which is a great round. So what I'm going to say is almost going to sound like I'm dogging on the 6.5 Creed, and I'm not by any means. I still prefer at this point at 308 over the 6.5 Creed. But full disclosure, I've shot tons of 6.5 Creed. I don't own one, right? So that could change my thinking if I ever run across a deal and own one. Right now, finding ammo for it would be a problem. So even if I had one, it wouldn't be able to enjoy it. But what I like about the idea of the 6.8 in the larger cartridge format is it's in between. It's somewhere in between, right? Because as far as bucking wind, as far as distance, as far as all of that goes, the projectile weight in the 308, I love that just a whole lot more than the projectile weight in the 6.5. So this, you're not giving up with that 6.8. You're not giving up quite as much projectile weight. And I do find that appealing. Now, with there's 6.5 Creed, there's 6 Creed, there's 6.5 PRC. There's just so many in that 6.5 range right now that is the 6.8. Is it going to be another 224 Valkyrie, right? Is it going to be something that catches on and actually gains popularity, especially considering at how popular and how cheap 6.5 Creedmoor is? And I think it's definitely got a hill to climb. It's an interesting cartridge for sure, but it's got a hill to climb before it becomes mainstream.
And here's something also to think about as well. And I don't know this to be true, but it may fill in some gaps here. The 6.8 was one of the calibers and cartridges that was up for review and bidding for the military contracts to replace the 308. They went with a 6mm. It was 6.5. I mean, they had all of these different cartridges, and they went, I think, with a 6. But that 6.8 might have been the cartridge that Winchester came up with to try to get into that the government contract game, and it didn't win. So they're now they had all the planning, all the testing, and all that. Maybe that's why we're starting to see that, is because that testing was only done a year and a half ago. So that would make sense timeline wise. It would make sense. What's that, Mike?
They went with that caseless or plastic case round, didn't they? I seem to remember reading something the other day about that company's ready to deliver a crap ton of ammo to the Army. Victory Munitions or something?
Oh, yeah. I misspoke. Yeah, Midnight says they replaced the 5.56. Yes, not the 308. Yes. Yes, that's what. But I don't remember it being a plastic case. I don't remember that. It might have been. I don't remember that, but I do know that, like I said, and I don't know this to be true. I'm not saying that Winchester threw the 6.8 Western out there as that, but it might be something to think about if that was something that was used through the trials and didn't get taken. They've got all that money invested into the trials and the R&D. They might just go ahead and release it to the public since it's not going to be the government caliber. I don't know. I'm just saying, but people, a lot of this stuff goes into, they're releasing a caliber now, but this was, like Clover was saying, and the R&D goes back
probably 6,
7, 8 years ago. I mean, the idea of the calibers that were put through the trials last year, 2 years ago, are 5 years in the making. So it's not like they just came up with stuff. They've got stuff that they're doing on for government contracts all the time. And if they don't get chosen, they'll probably go ahead and throw it into the civilian market. Like I said, I don't know that that's a case, but I would be willing to bet that Winchester did put that up for the trials.
Well, that's common. That's very common.
Exactly.
And it has been. I mean, that's where Glock came from. Glock was developed for military trials for Austria. So there you go. You know what I mean? So it's just that's where things happen.
I just chucked a link out in the chat for the True Velocities press release about True Velocity completes on-time shipment of over 625,000 rounds of composite-cased ammo to U.S. Army.
Go to the Army, so that might be a different contract. It may not be a DoD projectile or a cartridge. That might be a specific Army thing. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know. I haven't kept up with those trials. I just know that they went, I thought, with like a 6mm is what they've settled on. But I don't know who got the bid or whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that is out there. I mean, there were things going around in the 90s when I was in with frozen projectiles, testing with that. It sounds crazy, but ice projectiles, there's no evidence, they're saying. So, it's like I said, there's been stuff that they do all sorts of weird stuff for years and years and years. So, but yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I've got, I talk about it, but I've got Black Hills produced some 100 grain 224 projectiles. So 100 grain to be loaded into 5.56 for some military application, or I don't want to say military. It could be government, right? It could be CIA, FBI, who knows? And then they did not get that contract, and so I'm sitting on several hundred still that I picked up, and I picked them up because I was like, "What in the crap is this? 100 grain? What in the world?" And then, of course, after I bought them first and asked questions later because I'd never seen them.
Sure.
And come to find out, yeah, it was a run. There'll never be any more of them made, probably.
Right. So Travis says the 6.8 and the polymer two different things. So two different contracts. So the 6.8 is not necessarily the polymer, and the polymer is not. So yeah, like I said, I read it was a year and a half ago. Whenever the press release came out from DoD about switching up calibers and stuff. But after that, I kind of just quit looking and seeing who actually was going to get and all of that stuff. But James out there says, when things get real bad, I may or may not have a couple spam cams of 7.62 by 54R. Great caliber there.
I may or may not have about 60 rounds of that stuff, and that's it.
So it's we were at the range yesterday, and me and Grandpa Stanley out there, gun loving Grandpa, and a couple other guys were out there, and they were talking different calibers and all that. And there was a guy that the Remington plant is about an hour, 20 minutes from me, down just outside of Little Rock, in a town called Lone Oak. And as of January 1, they're back at full force production, and they're going 4 shifts. I mean, they're going 24/7, and there you go. And this guy used to work at the plant, and he was saying that one of the reasons why that particular plant had issues was when Remington still had it, they ended up going his line, which is, he says, a couple hundred people, end up working 31 straight 12-hour shifts, like 31 straight days, 12-hour shifts and all of that. And so they all called in one night sick, like the whole line one night. The only person that was in the entire factory was the supervisor. Not one person showed up for work, and
I don't blame them.
Things started changing, and people left, and all of that. This was after the first bankruptcy, and then the second one we all know that it's now with Vista, and Federal is now running that factory, and supposedly they're up running 24/7 right now. Maybe that helps with an influx of ammo into the marketplace. Don't know. We do know that Remington failed a lot on their governmental contracts before the sale. So they may have to, I think the government and Walmart, they both defaulted on both of those at certain points in the last couple of years. So they may have to catch up with those contracts before they start flooding the open market, but it is what it is. TPC says exit just past the Pilot truck stop on 40 headed east. That's right. And it's just right there on the side of the highway. Yep. What'd you say?
Said it'd be nice if something happens to kick some ammo loose and get it in the supply chain for the rest of us.
Yeah, well, understand that there's so many different variables that go into this. Yeah. There's so many different variables, but it's what it is. It is what it is. Hopefully, like you said, it'll start dropping some stuff. Now, Travis says they're going to send a bunch of suppressors to the Marines. They may use them as standard equipment, Knights armament cans. Okay. I know that they're using Trigicon ACOGs right now. At least they were. I think they're still using Trigicon ACOGs as their standard issue. Which is funny to me, because when I was in the mid to late 90s, and we didn't have issued optic scopes. Now we have certain things we did, but in general we didn't. We went iron sights. They're getting ACOGs in boot camp. It's like, what? It's crazy how times have changed. I know it's been 25 years, 26 years, something like that. But it is what it is. But yeah, times have changed where the boots are getting ACOGs, issued to them for their boot camp rifle, and that's what it is. So, all right. Enough of that fun. We're, like I said, guys, if you have any questions or all of that, let us know, because we're getting ready to go into our main topic for the night. And the title of the podcast tonight is, basically, what is an armed citizen? What does it mean to be an armed citizen? And there's so many different levels and layers to this. And what I want to talk about is what we think when you hear the words armed citizen, what it means, and then what are maybe some of the responsibilities of the armed citizen? There's a lot of people that are new to the gun industry, and maybe when they hear armed citizen, they think something that could be misleading. They might think it's a crazy government overthrowing militia or something like that. And they don't understand that an armed citizen means us, and all that. So we're going to kind of talk about that real quick. And I'm going to start with Mike here, and we're going to just start off simple. I'm not going to ghost you right off the beginning, but when you hear the words armed citizen, what initially comes to your mind when you hear those words? And to you, it might mean an organized militia. I don't know.
No. To me, armed citizen means somebody who's willing to take responsibility for themselves, for their protection, for everything. Because being an armed citizen means you recognize that there's nobody going to come save you. It's you. You're responsible for your protection. You're responsible for, your everything. It is a self-reliant / independent mindset that accepts that, buck stops here with this guy, nowhere else.
Absolutely. Iron Horseman brings up a great point. An armed citizen is anyone with a weapon, and it's not necessarily a firearm. That's a wonderful, wonderful point. And that is true. If you go around and, you're carrying that, you're an armed citizen still. You're armed with a knife. That's just the way it is. But yeah, he's absolutely right.
We can do now in Ohio without getting in trouble.
What do you mean?
Ohio just passed and our governor actually signed, holy crap, a bill that says a knife is not a weapon unless it's used as a weapon. So if you're carrying a knife concealed, you can't be charged with carrying a concealed weapon unless you get all stabbity with somebody. Now, unfortunately, we don't have preemption.
So that wasn't the rule before? Like, you could get charged? That
was not the rule before. You could get charged with carrying a concealed weapon for having a pocket knife in Ohio. You would definitely get charged if you were carrying a concealed fixed blade in Ohio. Now, as of April 10th, you won't.
That would be
a felony.
Weapon? This would be a felony right there.
Carrying that would concealed in the state of Ohio up until April 10th of this year is a felony.
Oh, wow.
Which is why I don't routinely carry one of those.
Oh, see, like I said, I guess I'm not only lucky, but I guess I'm spoiled as hell living in Arkansas. Yeah. Arkansas literally says if it has a blade, it's legal. Like, I can literally walk down the street with a katana over my shoulder and be perfectly fine. No problem whatsoever.
In Ohio, you could walk down the street with a katana over your shoulder. But if you pretended your name was Connor McLeod and you walked around with it under your trench coat, that's a felony.
I got you. That's crazy. No,
interesting. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have preemption when it comes to our knife laws.
Yeah.
So different municipalities can make different laws, and that's next on the agenda for the knife rights folks here in Ohio.
No doubt. Now, John C. out there brings up a point that I definitely was going to bring up, but he says, he goes back and says later to the media, but he says, I'm not going to say the exact words because I don't think it's that. I'm going to call them mass murderers instead of mass shooters. Mass murderers are what a lot the media thinks of when they hear the words armed citizen. They automatically go to the negative connotation of what the words armed citizen could be, and that unfortunately is true. It's not just the media. There are a lot of people that's the first thing they think of is mass murderers causing evil when they hear the words armed citizen. And that's unfortunately is a reality. Tactical Tennessean says one word: accountability. Kind of exactly what Mike was saying. I'm going to be accountable for me, my family, my property, and I'm going to be self-reliant instead of having to rely on others for my protection. And I'll go into my kind of, that's the basis of it, but I'll go into my thoughts here in a second. Let's see here. Midnight Range out there says the thoughts on hearing armed citizen depends on the ears and the words are passing through. We think, and he's absolutely right. We think as positive things as gun people, we think positive things about being self-reliant, taking that responsibility into self-preservation. Anti-gunners think that threat, danger, crazy people. That is 100% true. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of who's hearing those words. And that's about as true as it gets right there. So yeah, I think Clover he had to step away for a second, but he'll be back in a minute, and I'll bring him in when he gets back. But as far as when I hear the word armed citizen, we just kind of just talked about it, and I go along the same lines as you, Mike. But for me, it's just someone who has mentally and physically, because I would say that 95% of being an armed citizen is mental. You have to make that mental, conscious decision to physically go get a firearm, get training, make sure that you're proficient and all that. But mentally, you have to make that decision, click, and say, I am going to be self-reliant. The buck's going to stop here. I'm going to take care of my own family, my own property, myself. I am going to put myself in that position to be someone that not only is going to protect me and my family, but if I'm at a gas station and there's evil being threatened at a gas station, I'm going to protect the perfect stranger. I want to protect anyone that may or may not be able to protect themselves. And that's a huge mental hurdle for a lot of people to make. And I've been chastised and criticized before about a comment that I made, and I stand behind that comment. There are some people that I don't want carrying a firearm. It's not because I don't trust them. It's because if they haven't made that mental decision and they haven't practiced and they haven't physically prepared themselves for that crazy hits the fan scenario, they're probably more dangerous than they would be if they weren't carrying. Because if someone is going to carry and they're just not ready, it doesn't mean they're never going to be ready. It just means right then they may not be ready to carry out in public. And what if the very first day that they get their license and they've got their gun, and all that, the very first day they go out in public and someone's robbing a convenience store and now their life's in danger? There are a lot of things that could go very, very wrong if they mentally have not decided to make that decision. So that's just kind of, for me, is the basis of where I believe an armed citizen is someone who's going to be self-reliant, has made the physical and the mental decision to be self-reliant and say, look, I'm going to take care of my own. The buck's going to stop here. I'm going to take care of me, my family, anyone else that may or may not be able to protect themselves as well. I think Clover is back. I want to bring him in and say, you and I have talked about this several times over the last several years, but when you hear the words armed citizen, and I want to preface this by saying there have been some comments while you were gone. The best one I've heard so far was from Midnight Range, and he said, the thoughts on when hearing armed citizen depends on whose ears. As gun people, we think positive things. As other anti-gunners, they think others. So, but when you hear the words armed citizen, what direction is your mind immediately kind of go to?
So a couple things on that. First of all, to address your not wanting certain people to carry firearms.
Sure.
I feel the same way, and I think I would be real hesitant if anybody that told me that they had absolutely zero problems with anybody carrying a firearm, because we all know some complete buffoon, moron idiots. And just make the statement that there's a big difference between that I don't like the idea of that person carrying, and I would prefer that person not to carry, and I'm trying to restrict their right to do so.
Correct. I'll
Totally.
support
I
carrying.
cannot like whoever and whatever in this world that I
Correct.
don't want to like, and that's one thing that I may not like is that idiot carried a firearm, right?
That's true.
Again, two different things. The
Absolutely.
second thing, getting onto the language, yeah, I think the armed is the problem. Is there easier? Is there a less abrasive way to say that, to come across that? I don't know, because when you're talking about people, the whole armed idea, even I would say center to left of the pro 2A argument, the pro gun argument. Even those in the center, I think armed is really abrasive, and so you say armed citizen, and they get hung up on the armed, and they don't go any further. For us, we're so used to it because we stay armed all the time. We actively participate and practice in the right that we have guaranteed by the Second Amendment, which is to be armed for whatever reason we want. It doesn't have to be defensive reasons. It doesn't have to be for a reason of protection, and that's the beauty of it. But we see that as a right of the citizenry, so therefore, the armed is just everyday language to us, and then we see it more as more of a civic thing and a civic duty with practicing the right. So I said all that to get to my definition of armed citizen, and the way I see it, it's pretty doggone simple. It's anyone that chooses to put into practice the right guaranteed to us by our Creator and protected by the Second Amendment.
Absolutely. Ooh, a good question out here. Wheeled and Well Alarm says, if I'm at a restaurant with 8 extended family, and a shooter shows up, I'm not 100% sure I would knock out the target and put my family at risk. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And when I say that there are certain people, and I'm not saying that by name or whatever, when I say there are certain people that I don't necessarily want carrying on a day-to-day basis, it has nothing to do with anything except for the fact they may not be ready for it. Okay. And where I said they could be more dangerous is if they're new to firearms, they've gone and gotten the license, they've done the testing, whatever it is, they didn't take a class or whatever. It doesn't mean that they are ready to be put in the position of being a citizen defender. Maybe an armed citizen versus the word citizen defender. Maybe sounds something different, but it's the same thing. But if that person is not ready mentally or physically, what happens if they are the only ones with that firearm that could stop that craziness going down, but they freeze? That 1 to 2 seconds, they draw and they freeze. Well, chances are they might get shot, and they might go nuts after that because they were threatened, but you froze. Second of all, what happens if you freeze and then you freak out and then you start jumping around and you pull a trigger and it goes out the window and strikes someone across the street or at the gas pump or something like that? I mean, there's all sorts of scenarios. So I'm not saying that I don't want them carrying. I'm saying that there are some people that if you are not mentally and physically, more mentally ready to take that shot or to put yourself in that position, then I'm not saying that I don't ever want you to carry. I'm saying don't carry until you are ready to make that mental decision. So that's just me. And like I said, I don't want to take grief from a lot of people. I have already for a while, and that's cool. That's just me. But I think that people can be more threatening and more dangerous.
From the church shooting in Texas.
Sure.
Is a perfect example of this.
Sure.
You had the guy that kind of was hesitant. He kind of was fumbling around. You could tell he wasn't mentally there. He ended up getting shot over it. Whereas the fellow that was mentally there
took one of the greatest shots ever. One of the greatest shots ever, honestly.
I'm not saying, as you are, I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't have the right to carry. I'm saying when you decide to exercise that right, and I tell my students this, when you decide to exercise the right, you need to be certain. You need to do a lot of thinking about what you're really willing to do. How far are you willing to take it? What is going to trigger, no pun intended, what's going to cue your use of that weapon? Are you committed to carrying that action through to its conclusion? If you're not, you might want to think about leaving it at home until you have your head wrapped around what you're really doing, because this is, in my opinion anyway, carrying a firearm for defense of yourself, carrying a firearm for defense of other people is an awesome responsibility. And I'm not talking in the case of, wow, freaking awesome, dude. I'm talking awesome. I'm talking
massive.
Yes, massive. It is huge. It is a tremendous responsibility, because that's one thing that we don't talk about a lot in the gun rights community, is the responsibilities that coexist with the exercise of that right to do so in an appropriate manner. You know, if you're going to exercise that right,
come on in.
You have
He's done. Come on in.
do so in a judicious manner.
Absolutely. Yeah, Clover, come on in.
Oh, I was mainly pausing between bites of sandwich. I was muting. So,
okay.
But no, what I was going to say is, we're on the thing about other people carrying. I mean, we can do a lot about our own training and our own mental things and all that, but we can't control what other people do, and they do have the right, to carry, at least in
absolutely
a lot of places, most places, right?
Yep.
So one thing that I don't want to say scares me, I don't even want to necessarily say worries me, but it's definitely a risk factor. Is a lot of people think when they're thinking about a self-defense situation, they're thinking about optimal conditions, absolute optimal, right? Like it's one bad guy. They want your wallet. There's not lots of people around. There's not other people there that are carrying that's going to draw down, or whatever the case may be. So you find yourself into that situation where, and it would even be exaggerated more if you're talking about multiple assailants, right? So let's picture a supermarket scenario, and 3 guys have walked in. Well, you're 2 or 3 aisles deep in the store. You don't realize that only 3 guys walked in, and you hear a gunshot, you go to engage, you turn the aisle, and somebody else has already started to engage, but maybe they've engaged from a weird angle. And now what was 3 guys that entered that supermarket to you looks like 4. And what happens when you shoot the other good guy with a gun, or the other good guy with a gun shoots you because of that situation? And there is risk involved there. That's something that a lot of times people gloss over. They think it's a one-on-one thing. They think, oh, it's me and one bad guy, and I'm going to pull. And there's no, the chaos is insane. And
you don't stop the scenario and say, hey guys, we're going out front at 12 o'clock noon, and we're going to have a duel.
Right. It happens when you're walking at Walmart with your wife and your son.
That's right.
Matter of fact, last week it damn near happened walking at Walmart with my wife and my son for me. With the 99%. For those of you that don't know, I work in juvenile corrections. 99% of the time when I run into a former inmate, it's a positive interaction. However, there is that 1% that isn't. And that happened this past week. Kid, hey, Kreitzer, blah, blah. And I go to shake his hand, and he won't shake my hand. Right there, red flag to me. I'm pushing my wife in her wheelchair. My son's got the cart behind me. This kid and his buddy, we get to talking, and I hold grudges. I'm not some 16-year-old little kid, and I'm 21 now, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. Which generally, it's my experience. If you have to tell somebody you're a man, you're not. Right. But anyhow, and in the back of my mind, I had to be, really in the forefront of my mind, I had to be cognizant. Where's he at? Where's his buddy at? Where's his other buddy at that's behind us? Where's my wife and my son at? I'm trying to get them to get the hell out of there and whatnot. Now, thankfully, it ended up where I just like, you know what, dude? Have a good day. Walked off.
Live your life. Live your life. Be a man.
No throats were cleared. No, nothing happened. There was no polar pops or anything involved. So it was all good. And we walked away from it. But, you're right, Clover. These things don't happen in ideal conditions. They happen because, bad guys are predators, and predators get you when you're at a disadvantage. And you have to be ready for that kind of thing.
Well, that's part of I bring that up to mention. I mean, I've got a much different take than I think probably Ghost because I know Ghost brought up the citizen defender, or whatever. I don't view myself as that way, man. My firearm is for my protection and the protection of my immediate family or those that are with me, right?
Yep.
Maybe I've got a friend, maybe I've got whatever, right? Maybe I've got my kids and one of their friends, right? The people that are under my immediate protection, that's what that is for. It is not to save everybody in the supermarket. So my number one priority is getting the people that I love the hell out of Dodge. That's number one. Now, if gunshots are still going on, I get them hid. I get them locked in the bathroom.
And then I can go back in if I need to. Yeah.
And then I can make the decision. Gunshots are still going down. Now I've got a chance to stop the loss of other lives. That's fine. Yep. That's fine. Yep. But everybody should be here. Here's where everybody's responsible for their own protection and the protection of the people they love. Not me. Not me. That does not come first. I'm not saying that it's not on the list somewhere, but it does not come first.
Yeah. Kind of going down this, Will and Well Alarm said, going back to his previous statement about being in a restaurant with some friends and all that. He says the shooter might just be after his ex-wife and I could shoot a waiter. This is not always a John Wick. Here's a news flash. John Wick scenarios never happen. Okay. You're not going to see John Wick situations in real life. I get your sentiment. Understand this. This is kind of going where this road was heading right there. Is understand depending on the state, depending on the city, depending on the town, depending on the county, but depending on where you are, understand that just because you're able to conceal carry or carry open carry, whatever, you're able to carry a gun or a weapon of any kind, doesn't mean you're always justified in using it. Especially if you're going to use deadly force, a direct, imminent threat has to be upon you or someone in your direct vicinity. It can't be upon someone that's across the room or in the other side of the department store or whatever. For you, you can't draw your firearm and run after that person and say, I was defending myself. Not going to happen. You can't. I shouldn't say it. You can, but you'll be visiting a correctional facility for quite some time. You can't go chase someone that's not in your house or whatever in a restaurant scenario because you see a gun. You can't go chase after them and take care of that and say self-defense. It doesn't necessarily work that way. So you're right. Once again, understand, and that's part of what we're going to talk about here in a second, is responsibility. You have to be situationally aware. You have to know what the laws are. There are so many different things that goes into the responsibility of being an armed citizen or whatever we want to call it. But yeah, great point up there. So G23 says, I'm going to ask this to Mike and Clover as well. What if there's someone else that is willing and doesn't have their firearm, and the other guy who does hands it off? So basically the scenario is what if this person A has a firearm with them, but they're not ready to take that shot. They're not willing to take that shot. But I happen to be there, and for some reason I don't have my firearm with me, and I say, hey, hand me the gun. What do you guys think about that? I'm going to start with you, Clover. What do you think about someone handing their firearm to someone else to take that shot?
I don't like it. If you're talking about if you talk about like somebody you don't even know, a random person.
Yeah, like, hey, I can't take the shot.
I don't know. I don't know that gun's reliable. I don't know that gun is loaded with ammunition, if it even has one in the chamber. And in that chaotic situation, that it's like, oh, he's got a gun, or I don't know that it's not going to blow up in my hand. I don't know that it's been maintained. I don't know that I'm going to turn the corner and engage and it go click, and then that's it for me. So no. No.
Yep. Mike, what about you?
I'm not handing my firearm off to anybody else. And as far as taking somebody else's when I have no idea, well, you ever see The Ghost in the Darkness?
No.
That movie with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas.
Excuse me, sorry, but Hunting Lions, the Lions of Savo, when Val Kilmer swaps rifles with a guy and goes into the bush to hunt that lion and pulls up on him and it goes click. Yeah, no, that's not going to be me. Right.
Not happening.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where for me, and let's put myself in that position. First of all, I'm not going to carry if I'm not ready to take that shot myself. Second of all, if I'm the person that says, here, take my gun, I'm going to question why the hell am I in that situation without my own gun to begin with? But two, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'll figure out another way to protect my family. Here's the thing, guys. And it comes down to this. Another unpopular message I'm going to say. Sometimes if it comes down to some guy just is a tough guy and the firearms are present, just because you carry a gun doesn't mean you can draw that gun anytime you feel threatened. Okay? That's not the case. Sometimes it just means you're going to have to get your ass whooped. It's reality. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, but everyone lives to fight another day. Okay, they get to walk away from that. Just because you care, we'll go into, you know what, I'm going to stop there because we're going to go into the responsibilities of that, and that's going to play a big role. There's another one out here. Guns and Barbecue says, how many examples can you guys provide of someone freezing and then having harm done to them because of it, Ghost? I can't give you any. I've never been involved in a civilian firefight. I've never had to draw my gun, but I'll say this: one's too many. One instance of freezing is too many. Once again, this is my opinion.
Showing it, surveillance videos typically
sure
of robberies where someone, right, the clerk or a customer has drawn their gun and either fumbled with it or froze and then ended up getting shot. Happens
absolutely
fairly regularly.
Yeah. I personally can't give an example because I haven't been in that situation. But yeah, I mean, there's examples out there, but if you're asking me, I can't. But once again, it comes down to it is this. Once again, if you're not ready to make that decision and to mentally make that decision and physically do the act, don't put yourself in that position. If you're not, then don't even if you're carrying and you're not ready to do that, the situation arrives and you sit there and say, I don't know if I can do this, then don't. It's just, It is what it is. Just don't. Hide, get your family to safety outside, back door, whatever. Even if you're carrying a gun, doesn't mean you have to utilize it. If you're not ready to make that conscious decision to pull that trigger in that threat, then don't. Because things are going to go very, very badly for you and for other people, just saying. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll back down. Ozzy's out there. What's up? Bark at the Moon.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy trains out there. Rod out there. I'm assuming this is Rod. It might be Shelly. I'm going to assume it's Rod. Says it can be very chaotic with all the innocent people running in all directions. If you've ever been in that situation. Yeah, and you're talking about not just a lot of people running, but at that point they're screaming and the highest pitch screams you've ever seen and heard. You know, it is just one of those things. And trying to think here. I'm just trying to figure out.
And I gotta wonder, how many, if it is a situation, to where maybe you got your family safety, maybe you're going back in, maybe you were at the back of the store and now you've decided to engage and moved up to the front of the store. How many people have ever seen actual trauma, right? I've never seen like gunshot stuff. I mean, I'll admit to that, but I've seen stuff from house fires, from tons and tons of car wrecks,
motorcycle wrecks.
I've seen some pretty bad, some pretty grotesque stuff that I literally to this day have my nightmares over. It does come back on me. That's something that you're going to have to prepare yourself for. That's just as being in that traumatic of an event, but that adds to, right, with all the chaos of people running and all of that. Now you've got trauma that you're looking at that you may have never seen before. Chaos, laying on the floor, and that's going to play a role too.
So we're going to have this discussion. Hey, Barbecue, I think you and I actually talked on the phone about this, but you're more than welcome. As a matter of fact, let me, I hate doing this kind of back and forth with, through chat.
I'm not sure he gets exactly what you're saying though.
I don't think so either. But
Because you don't want
the link.
somebody to carry. I mean, he's not saying that they shouldn't have the right.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to. Yeah, I put the link out there. You're more than welcome to jump in, barbecue. But he says, then how can I justify telling someone not to carry because they don't meet my personal standard? I'm not telling anyone not to carry. Don't misconstrue it or anything like that. What I'm saying is my personal preference is I would rather have someone decide not to carry if they're not ready than to put themselves and other people in danger. Am I saying that that is a law or you should listen to what I say? No, everyone's going to make their own decision. I'm saying my personal preference is if I see a guy over here that I know is not ready mentally or physically to take that shot, then I'm saying, I just wish you wouldn't carry. Am I going to tell you that you don't have the right? Hell no. I want everyone to carry, but what I want to do is make sure that is, here he's going to join us here. So we'll welcome Barbecue in a second. But the last of my thought is this. Now, and I can't speak for other places. In Arkansas, by the time you do your class and all that stuff, you send the paperwork, it takes about a month to 6 weeks to get your concealed carry permit. If your state is like that, or your city, your county, whoever issues it is like that, then let's say you've got a month's window, do as much as you can that month, prepare yourself. And we're going to get into that. So I want to bring in Barbecue real quick and say, what's up, man?
Not much. How about yourself?
Are we having, I mean, like, this has been on, I'm not trying to be a smart. Are we having are we misunderstanding each other? Because I thought you and I
100%. 100%. Because right before I jumped in, I was listening to what you're saying, because I always took it as you were saying, if you're not in this mindset, I don't want you carrying. And I'm like, how the heck? But with the way you just broke it down right before I jumped in, I get what you're saying 100% now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like I said, I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about this is we don't all have to agree, guys. We don't have to agree, and we're all going to have our opinions and all that. And my biggest thing is this: is once again, I'll go back into it. Is there is so much into, and we've kind of taken the discussion from being an armed citizen into a concealed carry discussion, which is great. It's kind of cool. But there's so many things that go along with being an armed citizen, or especially in concealed carry, or is carrying in general. And I think that there are a lot of people that aren't ready for that. I've seen people go get their concealed carry permits that are literally scary. Like, I'm surprised that they didn't shoot someone, how bad they were. Some people will go get their gun the morning of their class, and they should not be in that class because there is no way that they are ready to physically, much less mentally. So I want to bring Barbecue in and say this, and I want to kind of catch you and get your thoughts. So when you do hear the words armed citizen, like, what's kind of the first thing that kind of comes to your mind?
I think of just a citizen that is carrying any sort of weapon to defend themselves.
There you go. And that's about as simple as it doesn't have to be a gun. And I think that that's where a lot of people in the gun side and the anti-gun, when they hear armed, and I think Clover might have been the one that brought that up. When they hear the word armed, their first initial thought goes gun, 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 gun. And that doesn't necessarily mean true, but it is what it is. Let's see here. Did I miss anything? Because if not, we're going to move on. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section of this, and I'm going to start with you, Barbecue, and work our way back up. Responsibility. When you hear, what do you think that some of the responsibilities of taking the definition of what you think armed citizen means and say the next step is, what are the responsibilities of such armed citizen?
I personally think that the armed citizen is solely responsible for themselves. They're not there to play hero or anything like that. If they want to do so, that's on them. But if I'm carrying any sort of weapon, I don't care if it's nunchucks. If I feel that I decide that I want to carry nunchucks, I'm carrying them, solely for my personal protection. I'm not there to save everybody else. If I'm put in a situation where I can and whatnot, then, we'll see how the chips fall. But ultimately, you're only responsible for yourself.
Absolutely. It's interesting. the word vigilante comes up a lot in discussions that I have with other people about being an armed citizen and all that. And it says, so you're just going to go take, it upon yourself to go track down someone that's done you wrong. No,
Right.
I'm not going to go track anybody down. If they've left my area and they're no longer a threat, then we're all going to get to walk away and live another day. I'm not going to go track it unless someone has killed some of my family and all that. Then that's a personal decision that I might say the law just goes out the door. I might, say the hell with it. I'm willing to go to jail for this. But being a vigilante is not what armed citizen means, first of all. So for those people that are thinking of vigilantes, no, it is what it is. Clover, bring you in when you taking what you think of the words armed citizen to kind of move forward. What are some of the responsibilities for those armed citizens?
Well, I think that with my definition of armed citizen, I mean those that choose to employ this right that we're granted. I think that we have a responsibility to promote liberty and freedom and other rights as well, because ultimately that's what it's designed to do, right? There's a lot of talk, and I know it's just the nature of this chat and the channel. There's a lot of talk about defense, but world goes to pot. You can use a firearm to feed yourself, right? That's life. It's the same as defending your life. That's life. And so, I think being able to promote that, and also, I mean, we've got there's an element of responsibility, right? And that's what we're talking about here a lot of times with the difference between the vigilante and somebody that solely has it for, their own protection and the protection of the immediate people around them in that immediate situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not running somebody down, not chasing somebody down, not looking them up, online and stalking them. And that's all crazy town. And you're going to find very few people, if anybody, that are at least staunch pro 2A, staunch liberty, staunch freedom, that are going to side with that kind of activity. And so I think it ultimately it boils down to, like I said, liberty and freedom, but also in the guise of safety, right? Because we want to make sure we're safe. We want to make sure our families are safe, and our brothers and sisters and neighbors and whatever, right, are safe. Safe and what's the word? That because safe kind of means that there's a threat of like imminent danger or something. But again, going back to the whole starvation thing and being able to hunt. That's making sure that they're well fed and taken care of, right? People around you. So same difference, to make sure that people are safe and taken care of, and that no harm, be it another person or be it disease or starvation or anything else. We don't want to see people in strife, and we don't want to see people hurt, and we don't want to see people dying, right? And so we have a responsibility to not only with the Second Amendment and in relationships to firearm and carrying and being an armed citizen, but we got to further being a positive, productive, compassionate citizen as well.
Absolutely. There's a couple of comments I want to bring up here in a second, but Mike, I'm going to go to you and say responsibilities. Are there something that kind of creeps into your head when you start thinking, what are the responsibilities of the armed citizen?
You need to become proficient in two things. Number one, you need to be proficient in the physical skills necessary to handle your weapon, to shoot accurately, to draw your weapon clearly and quickly, to present that weapon on target. You need to be able to be proficient in those physical skills that you need, i.e., get some training. Not practice, because practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. You can practice the wrong thing 1,000,000 times and be absolutely perfect at doing the wrong damn thing. You need to know what the right thing is, and you need to practice that. You need training. Yeah. Number two, you need to be proficient with your use of force laws in your state. You need to know those. You need to study those. I'm not saying go to law school, get a legal degree so you can carry a gun, but you should probably do some reading. One great place that I point my students to is Andrew Andrew Branca's book, The Law of Self-Defense. It's
Mhm.
like $20 over on Amazon, $24. Absolutely priceless. Worth every single penny, even if it costs 3 times that much. Buy it and read it. He says the tagline is you carry a gun to make yourself harder to kill. Read this book to make yourself harder to convict. And it's a kind of a catchy tagline, but it's not so much to make yourself harder to convict, but knowing when you can and cannot use force. Because again, we're talking about this awesome responsibility. We have this terrible power of life and death riding on our hip. You had damn well better know when you can use it and when you can't.
Absolutely.
This was my opinion.
No, that's 100% correct. Patriot out there says, I see armed citizen as any person responsible for themselves with or without a weapon, armed with a brain. And that is so true. One of the things that I tell people all the time is if you're not, and we're going to go back to being able or willing to take that shot. If you're not able or willing to take that shot, and you don't think that that's just something you can do, whether you don't like guns or you don't like violence, whatever, there are things that you can do to be an armed citizen, armed with knowledge. If you don't want to carry a gun, go take a stop the bleed class. Go take first aid classes. If you're put in a situation and you're at that Walmart or that convenience store, that gas station, and someone opens up fire and you've got someone who's going to end that threat, another armed citizen is going to take care of that threat. Well, guess what? You being trained in stop the bleed, tourniquet use, first aid, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, CPR, whatever you want to call it, you are that first responder until the EMT gets there. You could be saving someone's life by getting medical training, first aid training, tourniquet training, all sorts of stuff. So if you're not willing to carry a gun, maybe you'd be willing. In most hospitals, most EMTs, EMS, whatever you want to call them in your area, but EMT services will give free CPR or medical or stop the bleed or first aid classes periodically. Go take a free class. Take one day of your life and arm yourself with the knowledge of saving a life. Saving a life doesn't necessarily mean using a firearm or a knife or a bat or a weapon. Saving a life can literally mean saving someone's life who did get shot, and now including the person who shot someone else. The immediate threat. Here's the thing. The threat is stopped when it's no longer a threat. It doesn't necessarily mean that person is dead. So that threat is down, but that threat could be injured. You know what? We're all humans. We may not like that person, but let me put it this way. If I saw someone and I happen to be the one to take that shot and end that threat, and he's still alive and he's no longer a threat, I've kicked the gun away, he's down, this, that, and the other. Let me ask you guys a question. I'm going to throw this out there. Barbecue Clover, Mike, feel free to answer. If you're in a situation where you're actually the one who took that shot, the threat is in him, he's still alive, and he's bleeding out, would you save him? If you had the training to do so? And just jump in, anyone who wants to answer that. You may not want to answer that, but I would. I would probably feel like if I had the ability to save that person, even though I'm the one to put them down, I probably would go stop the bleed. That's just me.
If I could do so safely, yes.
Yeah, safely. Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, Barbecue. Once
I've assessed my surroundings, made sure that there's no more threats, secured. I'm assuming that they had another firearm themselves, secured their firearm, etc. Yeah, if I can do so. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's just, and that might piss some people off, but that's how I would roll. And like I said, if you're not able or willing to carry a gun, go arm yourself with knowledge of something else, whether it's stop the bleed with tourniquet training, first aid, all sorts of stuff. There's so many different things that you can arm yourself with knowledge to help that situation.
Ghost, can I follow up what I said earlier?
Absolutely.
About going back to the training thing, I would like to make sure that people understand that when I say you should go get training and become proficient in the physical skills necessary to handle your
mandatory, what you're saying, yeah.
Does not mean I think it should be mandatory.
Absolutely. I know
you have a
going.
right to carry and you have a right to do it. Outstanding. Exercise that right. More power to you. But you should do so responsibly by
you should want to get training.
Exactly. Go out and get some training. I'm not saying you should be required to, but it's probably a good idea.
It'll probably help your if you were in that situation, it'll probably help your criminal defense case. Just saying, you know.
Absolutely.
Clover is having an aneurysm over there. Go ahead, buddy. He's letting me know he wants to talk.
So yeah, with the training thing, yeah. So, I'm going to add to this again. We can disagree. That's fine because everybody knows where I stand on this. Going and getting training does not mean you go pay Pincus or you go pay Jaeger or you go pay whoever. You can watch YouTube videos. You can look up crap online, but then you go out to the range. You don't stand static in front of a target, but you take what you've read. Go get books. Masada Oob has written books and everybody else. You can learn it from a book. That's fine. But then take those tactics, those movements, those drills out to the range, and don't just stand square to a static target and shoot. Set up the scenarios and the different things and train. That doesn't mean you have to buy 5,000 rounds of ammunition, especially right now when you can't find it, and then go pay another $1,500 or some crap for a course.
Although having an instructor there to critique and give advice is a pretty good idea.
I would not disagree that is oftentimes a much better scenario, but reality is the vast majority of people that own and utilize firearms cannot afford the ammunition, nor the travel, nor the fees to go do training like that. Yes.
One of these little boys right here,
Mantis X10 Elite.
Exactly. Will give you so much improvement for so little money invested. It ain't funny. Huge return on investment with this.
No doubt. I just got a text from Midnight Range, and he said, I love how Clover said Masad Ayub. Can you say Masad Ayub one more time? He wants to hear the Clover vernacular of Masad Ayub.
Masad Ayub?
Yeah, I don't know. He thought it was funny, so maybe he's, I don't know.
I didn't pronounce the Yub right or something. I
maybe
said
I don't know. He loved how you said it, so I didn't. Stephen Elder. Now, this is where we're talking about laws, and what Budget was talking about with laws. He said, for instance, I do maintenance at a commercial building downtown Seattle. Someone starts shooting up inside. I got to stop them. Someone runs down the street shooting. I feel obligated to act. Now, I'm going to start and preface this by saying, you do you. Everyone has that right to do you. I'm not going to chase someone down the street for multiple reasons. One, they're obviously not an imminent threat to me or my immediate protection area. If they're running down the street, and let's assume they've already passed you, just worst case scenario, you chase down after them, fire at them, put them down. Chances are you probably shot them in the back. How in the hell in a court of law are you going to be able to prove that it was self-defense or you had an imminent threat against you, which is now allows you to use deadly force by shooting someone in the back? I'm just saying, be careful. You do you. And I'm not going to say don't. I'm just saying, please be careful. Please be careful. Because the last thing I want to have you do, Stephen, is be that hero and then spend the next 25 years in prison.
Part of the reason I carry, and we all carry, right, is to protect, obviously to protect the ones we love, but it's also so that we're able to return home to the ones we love. And if we have to go spend our life in prison, guess what? We don't get to spend it with the people we love. So make smart decisions. Right. And it is loss of life horrible? Is somebody that shoots up a building and runs out and runs down the street getting away, is that horrible that he might never get caught or whatever? It's terrible, right? But at the end of the day, I get to go home to my family, not prison. For that right. That is literally the definition of a vigilante.
Yep, exactly. Big shout out to Foon out there, a super sticker for $1.99. Thanks for the.
Are you sure the P is? Sure that's PH makes an F sound.
I'm gonna say that. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's phone, PH. Phosphorus, whatever. So I'm going to say it. And if I'm saying it wrong, he can correct me by all means. Correct me. Steven comes back and says, "What I wouldn't want is like the guilt of knowing I could have done something." Pard's guilt. Anytime that someone dies and all that, there's going to be guilt if you were even there, whether you had the opportunity to end that threat or not. The guilt's going to be there because you're always going to have that. What if I would have done this? What if I would have walked out that storefront 10 seconds earlier and gotten to before he took that shot or whatever? I get that, bro. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and do what you feel is necessary to do. I'm just saying that think about it, because those actions will have repercussions. If you're willing to go spend 20 years in prison for saving someone else, possibly saving someone else down the line, hey, I'm all for it, bro. Do it. I'm just saying there's going to be, there could be repercussions. So be smart about it. But if you feel strongly enough to do that, then who am I to say don't do that? And you know what? Being a hero is what it is. But sometimes being a hero is doing nothing at all. I'm just saying. It's tough. It's tough. That's a tough scenario when you hear the words chasing someone down in case they might get someone else. That's a very, 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 very gray area when it comes to law. And that's what I'm talking about, is the law side of things. As a human being, absolutely. Absolutely, I'm going to want to end that threat at any and all costs. The law side of things, where, like Clover says, I might be able to do that. And if it's worth not seeing your family for 25 years, then
he went hunting.
Well, so there's another dynamic here which is retaliation. So let's say that you live in a bad part of town, or let's say that you work in a bad part of town, or maybe you're just traveling somewhere and you end up in a bad part of town, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a big difference between guy comes in, waving the gun around, pointing it in the convenience store. You're there, you draw, you take the shot, you put him down, and you chase him out of the store, and three streets down in the alley, you gun him down, right? What happens when he's a gang member, or whatever it might be? And the next thing you know, you're the good armed citizen that stopped, and there's nothing legal happens, right? You live in a fairly free state, right? Nothing legal even happens. It's kind of like the Stephen Williford thing, right? They jumped in a truck and chased the guy. Nothing really happened. He got accommodations from the governor, right? So nothing happens. But what happens?
Where do you live and all of that?
What happens when the gangbanger buddies, right? Oh, well, he killed our brother, and then they show up at your house one night.
Which they will, right?
And it's 6 or 8 or 10 of them with fully automatic AKs or crazy black market crap. What are you going to do then? And then it's not just you; it's you and your family.
Yep.
So there's lots of things that need to be thought about. That I think, we started this off talking about how people, they want to envision these optimal conditions. And you've got to be, you're 100% correct about being mentally prepared. You have to war game this out in your head. Every impossible, crazy scenario that could possibly play out, you have to think about that.
Yep. Sarge out there, our local law enforcement guy, says, if you're going to prison, if you chase someone down 3 blocks and put them down. Yeah. And like I said, once again, by no means am I sitting there trying to tell someone not to do what you want to do. Just saying, know what could happen. Understand the repercussions of what could happen. Ghost, or if you are drinking a twisted tea at the time, are you an armed citizen? Apparently so. If you've got a twisted tea in your pocket, then that is a deadly weapon, apparently. Just saying. Barbecue, you want to jump in and add anything to what we've been talking about here? I know you kind of just jumped in the midstream, but anything that you want to talk about or bring up that you feel strongly or whatever about? He might be. Oh, there you go.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like you guys covered everything pretty well. I was going to add one little caveat that I like to get onto, was just why I used to open carry when you guys were talking about, that need to go home to your family every night. That's, why we carry. We try to avoid these things. And I would tell people that's why I would always choose to open carry, was when I worked corrections and did armed security. One of the things they'd always tell us about was visual deterrence. And I tried to carry that over in my carrying, and My theory was, if there was that guy that was going to be robbing the Dollar General or the 7-Eleven or whatever, if they saw me carrying, perhaps they were going to wait until I exited the store, at which point now I don't have to worry about it because, that visual deterrent prompted them to at least wait until they had a soft target, if you want to say that. And I'm gone and never had to have my life drastically affected or my family's lives.
Yep. It's interesting because the whole open carry versus concealed carry, that could be another hashtag me too. Yeah. That could be a whole conversation for multiple hours on its own.
And it has been.
It has been on this show. We've done that before, but open versus concealed carry. And that's really one of those things. But I want to bring up something that it was mentioned, and we were talking at the range yesterday, and we were discussing different things and different scenarios and all of that. But one of the topics that was brought up was the concealed versus open carry, and is it a good thing to deter that threat by open carrying and all of that? And that depends on who you are. It really is. For me, honestly, I don't care if you conceal carry or open carry. If you're able or willing to make that conscious decision and be ready to defend yourself, your family, and all that, man, if you want to open carry, open carry. If you want to conceal carry, whatever you feel is your reasoning, there shouldn't be someone saying, hey, I truly believe I like personally to conceal carry over open carry. But it's for my own personal reasons. That's the way it is. But yeah, it's one of those things where I hear what you're saying. And ultimately it comes down to, if you're going to make the decision to carry a weapon, whether it's a gun, a knife, whatever, nunchucks, whatever it might be, and you make that conscious decision to do so, then how you go about that is your own personal choice. And what you do and how you do it, that's what being an American is all about, is you're going to be able to do what you want to do in that situation. Just understand that no matter what you choose to do, whether it's chasing someone down, whether it's to not even draw your weapon in certain situations, whatever the scenario is, understand the repercussions and what happens next, okay, in all those situations. And if you're able to live with that, then hey, it's what it is, and you need to do what you feel is best for you, your family, and all of that. Now they're talking out there about chasing Snob down, and I don't think it would take 3 blocks to chase Snob down. I'm just saying, no offense. Now for Night Strike, it might take 5 blocks to chase Snob down, but for average people, Snob's a big old boy. Pretty sure I could get him within 3 blocks. Just saying. Let's see here. Stephen Elder, no 2 men ever had more respect and civilized conversation as when they both had pistols on their hips. Possibly.
I don't know that that's entirely true.
That's Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo.
Well, I think that
the shot glass.
Yeah. Well, it's drinking 10 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the difference, and yeah, okay, the firearms at the hip may have played a role, but I think at that point they weren't afraid to duke it out in other means. And nowadays, somebody throws a punch, the other person's pulling and shooting them in the chest. You know what I mean? It's thought. It's like I think you had said it or something about sometimes you just have to get your butt whooped or give a butt whooping, right?
Right. Yeah. So apparently the Snob and Midnight are going to have a foot race. That would be fun. We need to make sure that there's a couple cameras rolling.
We could sell popcorn during the intermission.
We could sell hot dog sandwiches and Slim Jim candy bars. Yeah. Rebel Infidel says, howdy, what's going on? He says, oh, no, we're not. I'm going to spend a few minutes on talking about, I don't want to get into a lot of the craziness that's happening on in this country. Tomorrow is Inauguration Day, whether or not we believe that it should be, whether or not there's a lot of different variables, but tomorrow's Inauguration Day. And this is going to be my little soapbox, and I'm going to give Mike and Clover Barbecue, anyone who wants to jump in, their time to talk about this. And I know that there are a lot of people that are having possible rallies and all that. The capitals are different places for Inauguration Day. Please be smart. Please be safe. I will never tell anyone that you shouldn't go to the Capitol and exercise your First Amendment right to peacefully assemble. But you don't have to carry a firearm if you really don't have to. I know that there's the visual that people want to saying, shall not be friends, come and take it. Hey, cool, man. Once again, do your thing. Just be careful, because understand that all eyes are going to be on a lot of places tomorrow. Media's eyes are going to be looking for people that they could utilize as scapegoats and examples of. Don't be that person that gets made an example of. Don't be that person that becomes the new poster boy for the crazy gun community. Don't do that. If you're going to go and peacefully assemble, even if you take a firearm, do it in a peaceful manner. Please, I'm begging you, I'm imploring you to use good judgment, because just remember, all eyes are going to be on the country tomorrow. And we just don't want to do anything that could set back anything else. Eventually, whether we like it or not, eventually we all know that our country is fractured. There's no getting around that. There's no denying that. Whether whoever is in the White House makes no difference right now, besides the fact that we are a fractured country, and we have to somehow start the healing process. And sometimes it's better to take the high road than to make the spectacle of yourself. So that's my soapbox of the day. Do what you want to, exercise your rights, but just be mindful of what possibly could be ambushes, could be all sorts of things happening out there. I'm not going to start doing closing plugs yet, because we're not there yet. But I'm going to start with Barbecue and say, is there anything that you want to finish up covering or whatever before we do move on to the end?
No, nothing that comes to mind for me. Thank you.
Okay. Clover, what about you? Anything you want to kind of tie up or add on to what we've talked about already?
Well, I'll just follow up on what you were talking about, that,
Sure.
we've got to find a way. First of all, there's a lot of people out here that are feeding you a lot of information. They solely on drama and designed to whip you up and everything else. And I'm not saying they should be deplatformed for all that. I'm not even remotely going down that road. All I'm saying is, as a viewer, as a listener, as a whatever, you have control of the dial, so to speak. And so you also, somebody said it about being an armed citizen and using your brain, and use your brain and go seek out other sources. And pretty much anytime somebody's telling you something, the truth of what they're telling you, it's not the total truth. If you look at two extreme sources, the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. So do your own homework. If it seems like, hey, this person is really trying to whip people into frenzy and get people scared or get people worried or whatever, go seek out some other sources. And we've got to try to move forward. We get nowhere by living 2 months ago. We get nowhere by living a week ago. We've got to move forward. Are we going to face challenges in 2021? Yeah, quite possibly. Is it challenges that we can overcome? It absolutely is. But in order to do that, right, we've got to develop the attitude that it's onward and upward. And that's what we need to do. And don't, like I said, don't get down in the dumps. Don't get depressed. Don't get all of that. Live your life, regardless of who the president is going to be. The world turns, and the sun will come up tomorrow. So,
Absolutely. Well said. Budget, what about you? Anything?
I'm going to work tomorrow.
Yeah. So am I.
I'm not going to the Capitol. I'm not going to the State House here in Columbus in wonderful Ohio. I'm going to work. Those of you that are going, hats off to you. Exercise your First Amendment right to peaceably assemble and petition the government for redress of your grievances. If I can get my damn hat back on, right? Awesome. Do it. That's American.
America. Absolutely.
Tagline for my show is using the first to defend the second, and there's a reason for it. That being said, those of you that go there armed are doing precisely what the media wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing precisely what your enemies want you to do. And the one guy that shows his ass and does something stupid, that's going to be every single one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It already is. With all the stuff that happened on January 6th, that's you. Whether you were there or not, that's you.
Absolutely.
Period. So if you're going to go, if I were going, I would be leaving my stuff at home, but that's me. Or which is what would actually happen is I would carry concealed, but that's me. You have every right to do what you're going to do. Awesome. Do it. But if you do decide to do it, don't be that guy, because you'll be every single one of us. And I certainly won't thank you for it.
No.
Also be aware that there might be certain fringe elements on the other side who might be ruthless enough to
antagonize. Yeah.
Or outright start it.
Yep.
Outright commit it. But who's going to get the blame regardless of what happens? With the media that we have now, regardless of what actually happens, who's going to get the blame? You are.
It's like a football game.
And we are.
Yeah, it's like a football game. The guy that throws the first punch never gets the flag because the ref never sees it. It's the guy that retaliates always gets the flag because that's what the referee sees. Same thing. Even if the media capture the other side antagonizing it, it'll never be seen. It's the gun guy responding is what's going to be the story. It's one of those things, and Clover, you can tell me no. Clover and I talk about a lot of interesting things. Like there's been times where we should record our own phone conversations, and we will talk for an hour, and it would be the greatest podcast ever. It's just us talking on the phone. But we were talking last night, and it was about scare tactics and different things. And one of the things that we were talking about, I think it was with Clover. I'm pretty sure it was Clover. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But one of the things that we're talking about was the fact that what did I miss?
It's not but the Sarge.
Oh, cranberry juice. I mean,
no. This is Gold Peak Diet Iced Tea, and I'm listening to Ghost.
There you go. And I'm not very smart. I completely lost where I was going.
Sorry about that.
No, it was not you. I probably
talking about a conversation you and I had about scare tactics, but
yeah, but we were talking about something last night that I wanted to bring up about government and the left. I don't remember what it was.
I blame budget.
I blame budget
it's
too.
Totally my fault.
I blame Sarge for bringing budget up. Yeah, I blame Sarge for a lot. Anyways, we'll move on because I have no idea. It is gone, and I'm not very smart. So, best off-air podcast. Hey, man, I'm telling you, we've had not just with Clover, but with other people. We've had not just in phone conversations, but after chats or after shows are over, the after chats. I mean, we've gone on for 8 hours sometimes in after chats that are the most epic conversations. People think that we, not saying we, but in general, that the magic happens on air. Not even close.
No.
All the great stuff happens off air. Really does. Just is what it is. Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is I honestly, God, I don't remember where I was going with that story. So maybe while you guys are talking about it, it will pop back up. But I'm going to let Barbecue start talking. Hey, buddy, any projects going on? Do you want to plug anything or anything like that? Feel free to use our platform to plug your shit, man. That sounds bad, didn't it?
Wow. Is this Pornhub or what?
Yeah, right.
No, that's about the way I look at it and say it's amazing that I got as many subscribers as I do. I'm like, you guys watch this? Thank you. No, I'm trying to put out something every day. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are longer videos, things like that. Well, every Friday is some sort of unboxing, normally from gear websites because I've got a patch problem. But other than that, on the off days, I'm just putting out shorts. So, if anybody wants to go check me out or anything, I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Go check me out.
Thanks for dropping the link as well. Let me come in here.
Oh, anytime, man. Let me know if you want to come on. I'm more than welcome to come in anytime, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Mike, I know you've got the show. I'm assuming you have the show Friday night.
Yeah.
But tell people where they can find you. Do your thing.
I'm Mike with Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. You can find me here on YouTube at Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. Pretty much all the other platforms, Budget Guns and Gear or Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. I'm not going to go through and list all of it. Got my show coming up on Friday night, The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second. Talk about 2A related politics, news, and current events. Coming up soon. Matter of fact, today I just did some filming for it. I'm going to be doing a review of a Kel-Tec PF9. Yeah. It's a pistol.
Yeah.
Now, a friend of mine loaned it to me, and he's been, ever since I started the channel from day one. Hey, you want to review this? You want to review this? And it's like, yeah, okay. Which, why not? But I think in the next couple weeks, I'm going to do a compare and contrast video between the PF9 and the Ruger EC9S to see which one I like better. So that'll be an interesting video because they're about the same size, about the same weight. They have the same magazine capacity. One's a little bit cheaper than the other. And there's actually a lot of apples to apples comparisons there. So yeah, I'm going to put out the PF9 video first as kind of an intro to it and then go into the comparison video, I think.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question: the Security 9 versus the EC9. The EC9 is the more budget friendly, but is there anything drastically different between the Security 9 and the other one?
Well, first off, the EC9 is the EC9S is the budget version of the LC9S. The not the Security 9.
Well, EC9 is the budget of the Security 9, right?
No, the EC9 is the
which one is the which one is the budget version? Okay. And
the LC9 has like adjustable sights and stuff, and there's not a whole lot to separate them. Really, that's all you're giving up is the adjustable sights.
That, and maybe you get one magazine instead of two.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like
stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering that because I'm not a big Ruger guy, but I knew that it looked like the same gun to me when I saw pictures. I was like, what's the difference?
It's pretty much the same gun. I'm pretty sure you can take the top end off of the one and slap it on the other.
Good to go. Okay.
My EC9S actually came in an LC9 box.
Oh, really? There you go.
Yeah, they didn't even change the labeling on it. Like, if you look at the serial number and everything, it's proper and everything. Like, they didn't switch boxes. It's just Ruger said, yeah, we're not making a new box for this.
Okay, there you go. And Gary said the slide coating is a little bit different on the LC9.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So Clover brought up something and he was not right, but he was. But I do remember, and we were talking about, it kind of goes along with what Budget was saying and all of that about being coerced, being antagonized and all that. And here's something that there's the elephant in the room is, and I think Clover started bringing this up a little bit, and we'll let him expand on it here in a second. but don't be tricked and antagonized by our own community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are people out there that are going to tell you, come and take it and let's do this. And they'll never show up. They'll never leave their basement. They're never going to leave their house. But they're going to try to get everyone to do all this stuff and they'll never be there. So don't fall for being one of the crowd if it means doing something stupid. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, to go along with that, several different things. First of all, that some of our old people, they self-inflict some injury just so they can have you guys out there worship them.
Yep.
And I've said it for a long time. I don't idolize any of these other YouTube channels. They are colleagues. I don't care if they've got 100 times or 1,000 times.
I idolize Mac Daddy. He's my hero.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the only one, right? But yeah, they're colleagues. You know, and anybody out there knows that I feel the exact same way about you. There's a lot of channels out there that we're friends with and everything that hang out in these chats with us. At any given time, you can click on just about anybody's name out there or look it up, and they're putting out firearm content, and for the most part, doing a great job at it. But some of these people out, they self-inflict some wounds, and that happened big time today, or became far more apparent today, especially with the YouTube hates us and demonizing YouTube crap. I get really sick and tired of that.
Doing that shit again?
Well, here's the thing.
And Bloomberg's coming after certain social media influencers.
Yeah.
So today, do we got time? Can I tell this story?
Yeah, man, I got nothing but time, bro.
Because y'all on the panel haven't heard this story, but I want people to know this. I posted on Patreon before we went live here. But I'll throw it out there for the public. I don't care. I had a channel contact me. We all know Cherry City Guns and Ammo, probably.
It's a channel member here. Thank you for that.
Yeah, exactly. So he was able to get monetized to submit for monetization here on YouTube.
Cool.
And at, I don't know, 3 o'clock this morning or something, he got an email that said he had been denied monetization. Okay. And so he contacted me. He said, I know you got contacts on YouTube. You've been working with them. You blah, blah, blah. What can you do? I said, well, let me see what I can do. Well, as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon, he's fully monetized. So congrats to Cherry City Guns and Ammo. And for all the big creators and everybody else that want to demonize YouTube and not actually pay attention to what they say and work with them and try to get guidelines, try to change things for the better for both of us. Yeah, I don't know what to say to you. For those naysayers that say I can't get things done, which is pretty much the big channels, and they won't watch this anyway. Ghost knows that. But yeah, they can suck it because
I don't watch my own shit. So
all they're doing is hollering, hooping and hollering that YouTube hates them and these people hate them and these people are coming after them and whatever, so they can get your views, so they can get you to click their links, so they can. And I'm not trying to sound like the Yankee Marshal, but so they can make some money. And I'm not saying that they don't have. I'm not saying that they're
make your money. But don't
I'm not saying that any of them is void of a 2A bone in their body or they don't do good things for the 2A. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they absolutely manipulate the general populace of the viewers and the and everybody out there. So yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to point out before we got out. And then I've got dropped the top 5 revolvers on my wish list video today. So
yeah, I started getting a rash even before I watched the video.
I know, right?
Notification and just hives start breaking out revolvers. Oh my god!
If you like revolvers, or even if you don't, and you want to see some really cool high-end stuff, because believe me, my wish list is going to be high-end revolvers. Because if it's not, I probably already own them, right? But yeah, it's pretty rocking. So get over there and check that out. Thanks for the show. It was great. We covered a lot of ground. We started with SHOT Show, ended with shields. And oh, by the way, speaking of shields, yeah, if any companies out there want to sponsor me, I shield for anyone at clovertac.com. Please hit me up for sure. I will sell your stuff and I'll sell my soul to do it.
That's right. Sarge out there says he doesn't trust anyone Leviathan group. So
good choice of words, Sarge. Good choice of words.
Yeah, good choice of words. That is ironic. And I think Clover might be the only one. I don't care if it's public or not. I'll get ready to tell you. but that was about 6 months ago, roughly. I don't remember.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I was approached by Leviathan and to join the tribe, and sent a contract to me and all of that. And needless to say, I am extremely happy in hindsight that I decided not to do that.
Blessings in disguise sometimes.
Holy cow. Well, I mean, it was not just because of this. There's a lot of things. There's a reason. There's a lot of reasons why I did not join Leviathan. I want to say thanks to my buddies over there that are part of that. Hey, some of them are good people. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
There are some really good people over there. Not everyone's a piece of shit. There are some really good people over there, and all that. And like I said, I was thankful to even have the opportunity to possibly do that.
And there's some good people at the tribe as well.
No doubt. Absolutely there are. Absolutely there are. But yeah, it's Sarge says left the chat. There you go. I didn't say I joined them, Sarge. There's a reason why I didn't join them. A lot of reasons why I didn't join Leviathan. But as of a couple of days ago, I am really happy that I didn't join Leviathan. And that's one of the things that Clover and I talked about last night. So, yeah, keep an eye on me, Sarge. I would too. I would. I don't trust myself sometimes. So it's what it is. No, but get out there, like I said, and be vigilant. Stay on top of what's going on the local and state politics of the 2A or whatever. There's not to be just 2A, whatever issue that you want to keep. Make sure you're staying vigilant in that. Make sure that is it as shady as you suspect? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Parts of it are decent. Parts of it are crazy shady. Call me. We'll have a talk. You can. I'll put the link out here. I don't know if you're at work. I want to put the link out. You can, after we get off, if you want to join the after chat, you're more than welcome to. We'll talk about it. But yeah, just stay vigilant there and make sure that everyone knows what's going on. And be safe tomorrow, whether you decide to exercise your First Amendment rights by peacefully protesting, or you decide to go to work, or you decide to stay home, whatever. Be safe. Just be safe. Understand that a lot of eyes are on a lot of people tomorrow. And if you don't think that if you go to the Capitol, that the Capitol Police, the state troop, the National Guard, hell, if you're in Washington, it could be the fucking Marine Corps for all I know. Don't think for a minute that there are going to be people out there that aren't waiting for something to happen. So just be smart about it. Oh, you talking about in the after chat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening live. It's been almost 2 hours once again. Great conversation. Thanks for Barbecue for jumping in. Clover, Budget. Go check their channels out. They're awesome. We've got so many phenomenal. There's been a lot of people that are new to the channel, new to the show, that said they were here for the first time tonight. If you're looking for some amazing firearm and Second Amendment content, there are a ton of people out here in the chat. Snob, C4 Defense, Gizzard Gary, the Rogue Banshee was out there, Midnight Range TM, Rich White with Unloaded Media is out there. I'm going to miss a bunch of people, and I apologize, but there are a ton of people out there that are putting out phenomenal content. So go check them all out if you're looking for new people. And they're just awesome people to begin with. So thanks again for watching. If you're listening in replay or watching in replay or listening in podcast form, thank you. The conversation doesn't have to end. Go ahead and utilize that comment section below. If you have a comment to tell me that I am completely full of shit or I'm the biggest dumbass in the world, I want to hear that because it strokes my ego. I want to be known as the dumbest person in the podcast form. I'm searching for that title. That's the only title that I could probably get as the dumbest person on podcast. So I want to do that. But if you have a question, in all seriousness, if you have a question, ask me. I'm an open book. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to make shit up. I'll tell you I don't know, but I probably do know someone that does. And I'll point you in their direction as well. So once again, thanks to my patrons out there. Appreciate you, Gary. Gary's out there throwing the Patreon link out there. Thanks to my patrons and my channel members here on YouTube. Love you guys. You make this awesome to do, and the support that I've had from day one from a lot of people. Thank you so much, Phil. We'll talk to you guys soon. Stay safe out there. Stay vigilant, but be smart. And if you want to and you can, be an armed citizen. Semper Fi.